Mangwanani Mwalepo Vugegjani Kwaswanawe Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening in the SADC region and beyond. Today is Thursday, the 26th of August, and as usual, you are joined by Ashwin Berry and Aina Raiza Kweo.
We are so excited because today is Heroes Day in Namibia. Namibia observes Heroes Day on the 26th of August, a national public holiday meant to honor all those who gave their lives in the struggle for the independence of Namibia. And here is more on Heroes Day. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top story this morning, shocking vaccine disparity as only 4 African countries meet target. The World Health Organization hit out on Tuesday at the shocking disparity in access to COVID-19 vaccine, with only 4 African countries in Africa able to meet the inoculation target so far. Globally, 140 countries have vaccinated at least 10% of their population. WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus told the opening of an online meeting of African health ministers. But in the African continent, only 4 countries have been able to reach that target owing to the shocking disparity in access to vaccine. The WHO Secretary General said that the vaccine crisis illustrates the fundamental weakness at the root of the pandemic, the lack of global solidarity and sharing.
In our second story, Tunisia's president extends suspension of parliament until further notice. Tunisian President Kais Saied has extended until further notice the suspension of parliament, which has been suspended since the July 25 coup that gave Saied full power. Mr. Saied issued a presidential decree extending the exceptional measures concerning the suspension of the activities of parliament, as well as the lifting of the immunity of all deputies until further notice. His decision was denounced as a coup d'etat by some jurists and his opponents, in particular the Islamist-inspired party Ennahda, the main parliamentary force in the country, which has been plagued by political deadlocks for months. Many Tunisians have welcomed Mr. Said's measures with enthusiasm. Exasperated by their political class, they expect strong action against corruption and impunity in a country where the social, economic and health situation is very difficult. But if the president enjoys a strong popularity in Tunisia, his stunt worries the international community, which fears that the cradle of the Arab Spring is regressing towards authoritarianism.
In Cabo Delgado, Rwanda and Mozambican forces surrounded terrorists in last military push. Rwandan and Mozambican forces have surrounded the Islamic State-linked terrorist group's last major areas of operation, Siri 1 and Siri 2, according to reports. What appears as a joint force final major military push against the insurgents in Mozambique's northernmost province of Cabo Delgado comes barely 4 days after the joint forces seized Mbao, another key insurgent stronghold, after a fierce battle. Also, more recently, the joint forces on the 8th of August dislodged the terrorists from Moquimbao da Praia, a key Mozambican port city that had been headquarters of Islamic State-linked terrorists for more than 3 years.
All right, next up, rising diplomatic tension between Algeria and Morocco. After months of high tensions between Algeria and Morocco, Algiers announced the cessation of diplomatic relations with Rabat. The Algerian government accuses the Moroccan kingdom of constantly carrying out hostile actions against Algeria, of waging war against the Algerian people and its leaders. At the end of July, King Mohammed VI had complained about the tensions with Algeria and invited Algerian President Abdel Majid Majid Tebboune to allow wisdom to prevail while justifying his latest political positions. Relations between Algiers and Rabat have been fraught in past decades, especially over the flashpoint issue of the disputed Western Sahara. Morocco considers the former Spanish colony an integral part of its kingdom, but Algeria has backed the Polisario movement, which seeks independence there.
In our next story, NVA appeals for caution from road users. The Motor Vehicle Accident Fund of Namibia has warned all road users to exercise extra caution on the road. With the easing of COVID-19 restriction and upcoming Heroes Day long weekend presenting opportunities for celebrating and traveling to various destinations countrywide, there is an anticipated increase in road traffic volumes. NVA Fund Chief Corporate Affairs Officer Surihe Gomez said, as a nation dealing with the devastating effects of COVID-19, we should all do our part in reducing the burden on already limited resources. According to the fund statistic, 5 people were killed and 65 others sustained varying degrees of injuries in 40 accidents during last year's Heroes Day long weekend. She reminded motorists to make road safety a priority, to practice safe road user behavior, and practice self-policing on the road.
Now, in an interesting development in South Africa, Zuma involves ANC in bribery process. Former South African President Jacob Zuma, through his legal representatives, wrote a letter in which he said his party's African National Congress benefited from the controversial arms deal, a process which is awaiting trial. In the letter sent to the ANC, Zuma says that the court statements will clearly prove that he did not benefit from the deal. Zuma is currently serving a 15-month sentence imprisonment for defying an order from the Constitutional Court, the country's highest court, which required him to testify before the Commission of Inquiry investigating allegations of corruption during his tenure as president from 2009 to 2018. The start of Zuma's arrest on July 8 sparked protests that quickly turned into violent riots in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces and lasted for a week. The death toll in the riots rose to 337, and the police are investigating 213 of them for murder. Police investigations indicate that many deaths have been caused by shooting and other intentional acts.
In Nigeria, excess opioid use persists amongst youth, shatters dream. The sale of codeine has long boosted the revenues of tens of thousands of pharmacies in Nigeria. For the past decade, Lawal Folaside has been advocating for the return of the ethics in the drug stores. Nigeria's 2018 restriction on the sale of codeine-containing products has not curtailed the phenomenon. Faced with depression and grief, Nigerian youth use the substance to relieve them from the stress and pain. Nigeria's drug enforcement officers have in recent times faced difficulties in fighting the use of codeine. They have seized dozens of illegally acquired cartons of codeine products and also arrested a number of smugglers and users.
In our next story, Hissène Habré dies of COVID-19 at 79 years old. Former Chadian dictator Hissène Habré, whose regime was accused of killing tens of thousands of people, and the first former African head of state convicted of crimes against humanity, died aged 79 after contracting COVID-19. Chad's former head of state was convicted by an African court after spending decades in luxurious exile in Senegal, where he now found himself in a case for years illustrated Africa's reluctance to try its despots. After learning this morning of the sudden passing of former President Hissène Habré, I send my most sincere condolences to his family and to the Chadian people. We belong to God, and to him we return, declared President of Chad Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno. Hissène Habré was sentenced in 2016 to life imprisonment following the trial on charges linked to his time in power in Chad from 1982 to 1990, but only served about 5 years in prison. 9
South African universities make mark in academic ranking. 9 out of 26 South African universities have made it into the Shanghai Ranking Consultancy 2021 academic ranking of world universities. The independent organization on higher education intelligence recently published its list of the top 1,000 prestigious academic institutions globally, including 9 from South Africa. Since 2003, the rankings have become one of the several international league tables that are published throughout the year, assessing more than 2,000 universities on 6 key measures. These include measuring the alumni of an institution winning Nobel Prizes and field medals, the quality of faculty staff, high-cited researchers, papers published in Nature and Science. While Harvard University and Stanford University and the University of Cambridge took the coveted top 3 spots globally, South African universities made their mark on the sought-after list.
In a truly sad story, father burns his children for taking rice from a neighbor's house. 3 brothers were burned by their own father in Luanda for allegedly taking rice from their neighbor's house to eat after a day without any meal. The oldest is 7 years old and the youngest is 5 years old. The latter also has a fracture in one of the lower limbs because days before suffering the burns, he was also subjected to physical torture by his father. The older brother ran away from home and went to report to Radio Luanda to ask for support for the brothers. After the complaint, the children were rescued with the intervention of the National Police, Vienna Administration, and the National Children's Institute. Concerned about what happened, the Minister of Social Action, Family and Promotion of Women, Faustina Alves, will visit the children in order to provide social, psychological, and legal support within the scope of the protection of children's rights.
In our next story, Central African Republic issued tree planting call. In recent years, Central African authorities have placed particular emphasis on the fight against climate change and deforestation by encouraging tree planting. The country aims to plant thousands of hectares of trees this year alone. National leaders, including the head of state, have embraced the activities with a view to attracting the country's youth. Others have taken up tree planting with commercial objectives. Alphonse Kossi is a general in the Central African Republic Army. When not occupied with national security duties, Kossi is tending his trees from which he hopes to make money someday. The government has initiated a forestry development fund whose objective is to create nurseries for several tree varieties. The seedlings are distributed free of charge to citizens.
All right, in the last of our top stories, we are in Ghana as Lindt Chocolate Company finances 69,000 solar kits for cocoa farmers. Swiss company Lindt and Sprungli AG, the manufacturer of the famous Lindt chocolate brand, is involved in rural development in Ghana as part of its agricultural program, which has been running in this West African country since 2008. The group is starting to distribute 69,000 solar kits. The Swiss chocolate maker, which had a turnover of $4.6 billion in 2018, imports most of the beans processed in its factories in Ghana. These solar kits are being distributed to 50 cocoa districts, benefiting 1,243 rural communities. We absolutely love to see rural development, but I have to say, reading that story made me crave chocolate. I need chocolate.
I'll get you chocolate.
Yes, there we go. Since my need for chocolate has been satisfied, we will continue to satisfy your need for current affairs and news after the break.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. The onslaught of COVID-19 has altered how the world experiences changes. Agnes Yeboah, Human Resource Business Partner at Bank Windhoek, explains.
The onslaught of COVID-19 has altered how the world experiences change. Agnes Yeboah, Human Resources Business Partner at Bank Windhoek, is here to explain more. Good morning, Agnes. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm fantastic. It's good to have you here. Now, could you please elaborate on how the experience has changed?
Well, usually with change, it's usually organic. But with the onslaught of COVID-19, it put a lot of pressure. The change was rapid. It was extremely abrupt for many, many individuals, and it was disruptive, and it was felt globally, not just here in Namibia. Essentially, everyone and everything was affected by the onslaught of the COVID-19 in varying degrees and depth. For some, the impact was dire and immediate, and for others, it was gradual. For some individuals, they were able to pivot and position themselves to ride on the benefits, if we can put it that way, of the pandemic. And for the others, it was basically a slow death in terms of economic activity.
Indeed.
And for personal individuals, you would notice that because it affected their health, some individuals lost lives, lost loved ones. So it also had a huge, huge impact on our mental and emotional well-being.
Indeed, indeed. And now this change, the acceleration led to the rate of change in technology as well.
Definitely.
How does it impact on the workplace and how it functions and in practice?
So I just quickly want to take a step back. Before the pandemic hit, we were already in, if I can say, the fourth industrial revolution
Yes.
was underway, which was already highlighting a lot of technology, artificial intelligence within the workspaces and in our own personal lives, right? So after the pandemic hit, it accelerated this. We all, in order for us to be compliant with the regulations, we had to now social distance.
Yes.
So businesses that were in position to take their services either online, to take their meetings online, benefited from this.
Zoom, I
right?
imagine, as well, yeah.
Exactly. So now every time is just Microsoft Teams, Zoom meetings, and what have you. So what it has also done, is it has increased the automation process. So however way businesses are able to take their value chain processes online becomes a benefit, right? It has also pushed businesses to upskill their employees at a rapid stage. So whereas we were basically maybe focusing on certain upskilling or training needs, now we are pushing all our training needs geared towards futuristic skills, such as coding. Coding has become a huge thing.
Yes.
Learning how to use online platforms and that sort of thing. What it has also done, it has given us the opportunity to merge the physical, the biological, and technological advances to make sure that we have enough opportunities to really improve the lives of everyone.
Absolutely.
Around the world.
I was actually going to ask about how businesses in the workforce have to adapt to these changes, but you touched on it, which is fine, because then we need to ask, what will be the impact if they do not change?
Well, if change is inevitable, right?
Indeed.
Okay. So if you're not going to position yourself to do something about it, the eventuality of it is death, basically. You become stagnant. So businesses that decide to be adaptable, they embrace change, see what they can do and leverage on it, are those that are going to survive. And that also is the same for an individual. So basically, if you as an individual, I mean, when we are born, we're children, and then we learn to walk, we learn to run, and all of that, right?
Yes.
And that's all about change.
Yes.
So as an individual, if you're unable to embrace and be open about the change, then unfortunately you're going to be left behind. You're going to be stagnant, and basically you're going to die.
that's essentially economically,
Yes,
at least. Yes.
economically,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you very much, Agnes, for coming
you.
through and just enlightening us on that.
You're
We've been
most
talking to Agnes Yeboah, Human Resources Business Partner at Bank Windhoek, and she's saying embrace change. You don't really have any other choices. Stick around.
I live in a country with abundance of some of the highest quality diamonds in the world. They have become the heritage and endowment of the Namibian people. Proceeds from the diamond sales are invested by the Namibian government to expedite infrastructure development, healthcare services, and education for the benefit of all Namibian people. But I guess the question that we really need to answer is, who am I? I am the custodian of Namibia's diamonds. I am Namdia. I'm Namibian.
Now, we can't guarantee many things, but we can guarantee that as long as you're tuned into Africa Good Morning, you can get a decentralized view of the news. Keeping that in mind, we're taking a trip to Zimbabwe and having a chat with Talent Gore as she lets us know what is on the ground. Talent, Mangwanani.
Mangwanani, mamukase.
Tamuka kana mamukawo. Now, your first story, Zimbabwe gets $961 million from the International Monetary Fund. Could you tell us about that?
Zimbabwe received $960 million from the International Monetary Fund Special Drawings Rights Allocation, which is earmarked to provide additional liquidity to the global financial system. So the immediate impact of the support from the IMF is to increase the foreign exchange reserves position of the country by $961 million. So the government has said that this allocation will increase. This allocation will go a long way in strengthening the stability of our domestic currency, and also the funds will be used prudently, and it will also help in support other sectors in the country. They say that the money will be allocated to the health sector, to the education sector, and it will also go to the vulnerable groups. They also said that they will allocate the money to the productive sectors that include the industry, agriculture, and mining sector. And they also said that they will channel some of the money to the infrastructure investments covering roads and also housing. And they said that the money will also be used to support our domestic currency and also macroeconomic stability. So the money that the IMF has given to Zimbabwe will go a long way in supporting different sectors in the country, and the government said that they are going to make sure that they make use of this money that they received from the International Monetary Fund.
All right, now Zambia's opposition win has inspired Zim youth to register to go vote in the upcoming 2023 election.
Inspired by the Zambian opposition election victory the past week, Zimbabwe youth and the MDC Alliance, Zimbabwe youth activists and the MDC Alliance youth are encouraging first-time voters to go and register to vote. They say that they have launched a 1 million campaign whereby they're encouraging those people who have not registered to vote before to go and register to vote. In the past, the Zimbabwean youth, they have shied away from voting. So they say that even if the elections do happen or they do not happen, they are just going to encourage the youth to go and register to vote. And this campaign is mainly being done by the MDC Alliance, which is an opposition party, and the youth activists. So they say that they're going around in different cities, and particularly in the rural areas where they say that the ruling party has a strong hold in. So they are encouraging youth in those areas to go and register to vote. The country is going to the polls in 2023, so they are just encouraging people to go register to vote. Apparently, at the moment, by-elections, they are banned in the country due to COVID-19, but they are just encouraging people to go and register to vote, despite not being able to have a by-election at the moment. They're just encouraging people to go and register to vote. So they're saying that their campaign has been a success, as many youth are going to register to vote at different registration polling stations.
It truly does seem that the election of President Hakainde Hichilema has reinvigorated the opposition parties in Southern Africa. Now, in your last story, talent, pregnant and breastfeeding mothers are shunning the COVID-19 vaccine. Could you tell us about that?
Doctors in the country have said that pregnant women and those mothers who are breastfeeding, they are shunning away from the vaccine. They say that they are not comfortable going to be vaccinated because they fear that something might endanger the children or the unborn baby. So doctors have encouraged the breastfeeding mothers and those who are pregnant to go get vaccinated, and they say that the vaccines, they are good for the pregnant women because they will also be protecting the unborn child from getting coronavirus, because the immunity will be passed to the child. They also said that government is also working on encouraging pregnant women and those who are breastfeeding to go get vaccinated. And they also say that the pregnant women and those who are breastfeeding should shun away from social media, should shun away from accepting everything that they read on social media, which is telling them not to be vaccinated. So they say that they should read stuff, they should read material, they should read literature, which is available on the World Health Organization website, which is encouraging people who are pregnant and those breastfeeding to be vaccinated. So they say that there's a low uptake of the vaccine from those who are breastfeeding and those who are pregnant. So they say that government should make sure that they encourage those that are pregnant and those that are breastfeeding to be vaccinated, so that we can at least attain herd immunity.
All right. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good to have you here. Welcome back. Well, not welcome back, but you know, we're still here at Africa. Good morning. Next up, let's have a look at the weather. Care and maintenance manager at Vendata's Scorpion Zinc Mine and Plant metallurgist Eliakim Shiningayamwe talks about the hopes for the future after mining stopped last year due to a slope failure in the open pit. Apart from preparing to restart mining and possibly going underground, Vendata intends a 6.7 billion Namibian dollar expansion and conversion of the only zinc smelter in Africa in order to be able to refine twice as much from renewed supply of zinc oxide ore from Scorpion's own mine, along with zinc sulfide concentrate from Vendata's huge Hamsburg project in neighboring South Africa. Have a look.
Scorpion is a very unique operation in that it is one that globally it was the first of its kind, and specifically one that recovers metal from zinc oxide ore body, using hydrometallurgical means. So it's a very unique operation. We are the only zinc refinery in Africa, and our product is listed on the London Metal Exchange. Make our product one that is very, very sought after. So our product in terms of purity is 99.995% minimum zinc. We closed prematurely in May 2020. And this was mainly because of geotechnical instabilities in the open pit that resulted in slope failures. And, and as a business, we made a decision to stop mining operations on account of safety of personnel in the pit. And as such, we placed the asset under care and maintenance. So at this very moment, we still have metal left in the open pit. We have completed the geotechnical review. We have completed the geotechnical studies, and we've completed the pit design. And at this moment, we are ready to go back. That is the first one. We're ready to go back to the open pit. And as we speak right now, we are also busy with a feasibility to go underground. So we've discovered additional resource. However, it's very deep. And what we are saying now is that we're conducting a feasibility study for the possibility of going underground. And the operation was made to process the Scorpion zinc ore body, which is a zinc oxide. The opportunity that we have as Vedanta here is that we've got operations in South Africa with a capacity of 450,000 tons of metal. Now, at this moment, these operations are producing metal as zinc concentrate, zinc sulfide concentrate, and it is being sold in the open market. One is that we convert the refinery to produce, we convert and expand the refinery from producing a zinc oxide, from producing from zinc oxide resource to one that processes zinc sulfide concentrates. So we will have two potentials. One is to process zinc sulfides concentrate to produce zinc metal, or maintain, or as well as maintaining the existing operation of producing metal from zinc oxide bodies. We are also expanding the refinery from 150,000 to 300,000 tons of metal per year. Hamsburg, and instead of our Hamsburg operation selling zinc concentrates, zinc sulfide concentrates into the open market, we will track it to Scorpion Zinc and refine it here. We would be doing value add from concentrate to final metal production. That's number one. We are expanding from 150 to 300,000 tons of refined metal per year. And then with that said, I think it is fair to say that this has got a huge potential of converting the southern Namibia or the Karas region into a huge economic hub. We are looking at tracking 600,000 tons of concentrate from South Africa through our Oranjemund border to Scorpion site. And we will also be tracking our final metal from Scorpion site to the port of Lutteritz, where we will ship it into the open market, as well as we will also be tracking the excess acid that we'll be producing. And we'll be tracking it to the port of Lutteritz. We are going to build additional storage capacities or storage facilities for sulfuric acid, and we'll basically ship it from there. We are looking at 6.7 billion NAM dollars.
A new scientific report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warns we are on a crash course towards catastrophe if global temperatures are allowed to rise. The window to slow or even halt some of the worsening impact is rapidly closing, and the message is clear. We must take action now. And here is more.
With further warming in the coming years, we expect to see new extremes that are unprecedented in magnitude, frequency, timing, or in regions that have never encountered those types of extremes.
You've been telling us for over 3 decades of the dangers of allowing the planet to warm. The world listened, but didn't hear.
It is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and the land. We confirm that human-caused emissions of greenhouse gases are the main driver of global warming.
Climate change is here now, but we are also here now. And if we don't act, who will?
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to get into your economic news stories for the day. And we start off in Angola. Agricultural Fair brings together more than 500 producers. The Agricultural Production Fair in the commune of Kalenga in the province of Huambo, which will take place from the 26th to the 31st of this month, is expected to bring together more than 500 young farmers in the agricultural and livestock sector. In addition to the Agricultural and Livestock Fair for young producers across the country, the direction of the National Youth Council, which runs the event, will hold a cycle of lectures aimed at entrepreneurs with the aim of training young producers, agricultural farmers, and young farmers cooperatives to increase national productive capacity and promote agricultural entrepreneurship within their ranks. The meeting will also address the rational use of agrochemicals by producers, participation of academia in technical and scientific support to increase the productive capacity of farmers, aiming at greater inclusion of youth.
In our next story, Mantashe won't say how much government paid for stake in Sasol gas pipeline. The South African government has avoided revealing how much it forked out for an increased stake in Mozambique, South Africa Ramco gas pipeline after Sasol sold 30% of its own stake in June. At the time, it was revealed that South Africa and Mozambican state companies, the South African Gas Development Company and the subsidiary of the Central Energy Fund and the Campania Mozambica de Gastudo, which both had shareholding in Ramco, paid a combined 4.1 billion for Sasol's stake. Ramco, a joint venture formed in 2004 and is commercial operator of 865 kilometers high-pressure gas pipeline connecting onshore gas fields in Mozambique to Sasol SA's operation. It has three shareholders, namely ICAS, CMG, and Sasol.
Sticking with South Africa, Sasria expects South Africa riot insurance claims of up to 20 billion rand. State insurer Sasria expects riot claims of up to 20 billion rand after the unrest in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal in July. Sasria on Tuesday announced that it had registered over 90% of all related insurance claims and is attending to them. Cedric Masondo, managing director of the state insurer, praised the prompt response from reinsurers and upfront payment of reinsurance funds in certain instances to help Sasria avoid any liquidity issues. Masondo said Sasria would have paid 2 billion rand to agent companies by the end of the week, and its target was to settle all valid small and medium-sized claims in the next 6 weeks.
Discam says lockdown accelerated its digital advance by 5 years. Discam pharmacies reported revenue growth of 16.3 to 13 billion rand for the 22 weeks ended 6 August 2021 amid backdrop of COVID-19 vaccine rollout and July civil unrest and looting. South Africa's second largest retail pharmacy chain said that despite the prevailing environment, retail revenue increased by 16% to 11.5 billion rand over the corresponding period, with comparable sales growth at 6.7%. The group said it continued to experience a change in its sales and transaction gross margin mix due to altered consumer behavior during the varying lockdown levels. A normalization of transactional gross margin mix and sales contribution is anticipated in 2023 financial year, with a concomitant increase in the total income margin.
Talk about making lemonade out of lemons. In our last economic news story, South Africans face supply issues around contact lens solution. The recall of rinse solutions and cleaning products for contact lenses did not feature in the news a few months ago, when the dominant supplier in South Africa, Bausch & Lomb, issued a statement saying that it was recalling a wide range of products voluntarily and as a precaution. At the root of the problem was the sterilization of bottles, bottle caps and plugs by one of the suppliers in the supply chain of these packaging materials to Bausch & Lomb. No serious adverse events have been reported to date in association with this issue, said the company in its statement. However, the problem seems to be more serious than this suggests for different reasons. Most importantly, the human eye is a very fragile, complicated and sensitive little organ. Sight is irreplaceable. For Bausch & Lomb, a small problem with sterilization could quickly escalate into a costly and potentially ruinous legal action. It warned warned that the change to a new supplier would impact on the availability of products until September 2021. Some people are riding the wave, other people are making lemonade out of lemons. But before you decide what you do with the money in your pocket, check out the economic indicators up next. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to get into your sports news updates. And first, we are talking about beach soccer. I miss the beach.
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
do. Yeah, but let's talk about the Beach Soccer World Cup. Mozambique, 1 goal away from the quarters of the Beach Soccer World Cup. The participation of Mozambique in the Beach Soccer World Cup came to an end on Monday with an 8-7 defeat by Tahiti in the third round of Group B matches in Russia. In a well-balanced match in which the result was uncertain from the beginning, the Tahiti team was the first to score with a goal by Tehau after just 3 minutes. The same player re-established parity with an own goal a minute later, the ball rebounding off the post onto his legs and from there into goal. In the third period, with a score of 6-4 in favor of Tahiti, the Mozambique national team found itself needing only to draw to qualify for the quarterfinals and went in with everything it had. Nelson claimed his hat-trick in the 30th minute, reducing the deficit to 1 goal, but it climbed back to 2 when Palma scored a minute later. Faced with possibly the final blow, Abineiro Usaka's boys put on their fighting shorts and reduced the difference again with goals by Dez and Malate in the 35th and 36th minute. All that lacked was that one magic goal that would have dictated passage to the next stage.
World Under-20 Championships highly successful. The World Athletics Under-20 Championships in Nairobi have earned their place in the history books with 4 World Under-20 records, 15 championship records, 11 area Under-20 records, 68 national Under-20 records, and 10 national senior records. The championships ended with a flourish on Sunday as Jamaican women and South African men broke the World Under-20 record in the 400-meter relays. The home team Kenya topped a medal table with 8 gold, 1 silver, and 7 bronze. From more than 100 countries that competed in Nairobi, 18 teams won gold, 35 won medals, and 63 had top 8 finishes.
All right, uncertainty, distress for Afghan cricketers after Taliban take over. The crack of the bat on ball echoes around Kabul's International Stadium as Afghanistan's top cricketers prepare for their next tour just days after the country fell to the Taliban. The return of the Taliban has sparked widespread fear in Afghanistan and in the international community, reviving memories of their brutal first stint in power from 1996 to 2001, when they imposed a harsh version of Islamic law. Sports the Taliban did allow were strictly controlled and were for only men to play and watch. They did not mind cricket, however, and the game born centuries ago on the playing fields of England is popular among Taliban fighters too. The national team has enjoyed a meteoric rise on the international scene since then, gaining coveted Test status in 2017 and now ranked among the top 10 sides in the world in the one-day and 2020 formats.
European football giant to take a €2 billion COVID hit. Match day revenues across 5 major European football leagues took a nearly €2 billion hit last season after spectators were largely barred from attending matches due to the pandemic, a report by consultancy KPMG said on Tuesday. The projected revenue loss dwarfed the €500 million that clubs in the league suffered in the 2019-2020 season when the virus first affected Europe and led to sports being suspended in March 2020, only resuming months later without spectators. The continent's top 5 leagues are England's Premier League, Italy's Serie A, Spain La Liga, Germany's Bundesliga, and the French Ligue 1.
All right, in the last of our sports news stories, Al Ahly president El Khatib, we fully trust coach Pitso Mosimane. Al Ahly president Mohamed Al Khatib has thrown his weight behind his team despite surrendering their league crown to Zamalek. Khatib told his disappointed Al Ahly players that he's proud of them despite the latest setback, saying they should chin up and be proud of their achievements in recent months. He mentioned their successes in the CAF Champions League as well as coming third in the FIFA Club World Cup, saying he appreciates the team's effort. Furthermore, Khatib had a message of support for Pitso Mosimane, whom he said the entire Al Ahly family fully trusts. We fully trust coach Pitso Mosimane, Captain Sahed Abdel Hafiz, and our coaching, medical, administrative staff. You deserve to be honored for what you did in the last period, and we are working on that, added Khatib. It's good to see it.
Yeah.
It's good to see it. Right at the tip of Africa, collaborating with the southernmost part of Africa, and they're saying, guys, we're going to stick it through. This is still Africa. Good morning. We're going to bring you headlines after the break. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not, here are the headlines. Shocking vaccine disparity as only 4 African countries meet targets. Tunisia's president extends suspension of parliament until further notice. Cabo Delgado, Rwanda, Mozambican forces surround terrorists in last military push. Rising diplomatic tension between Algeria and Morocco. Agricultural fair brings together more than 500 producers. Mozambique 1 goal away from the quarters of the Beach Soccer World Cup. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Africa Good Morning. You may also check out our website. It's called One Up To for more content that you love to see. Do not forget to get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. And if you are traveling for this weekend, please do adhere to all road regulations.
Indeed, and happy Heroes Day, Namibia. Their blood does indeed water our freedom. Until tomorrow, Sira Jaganaka.